Maybe live? I see the green box. YouTube is always a little finicky when we go live. It always takes a few seconds after it says it's live in the software. So,
That's
um,
fine.
Assassin, do you see us?
I'm trying to load up YouTube.
Okay.
I got a notification, but it's still showing the what do you call that? The screen.
Yeah. Um, let's just make sure. Oh yeah, waiting. I
It's a
wonder
great beard, by the way, Assassin.
What?
Carlos, it's a great beard.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's only been about a year, less than a year actually, for this to grow this long.
Yeah, I'm on about a year as well.
Oh wow.
This is weird.
I thought about like shaving it back down and starting all over, see if I could shape it differently, but
Do you dye those two white bits in, or are they natural?
it's natural.
Wow, it's like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Wow, this is very weird.
Don't tell me that we missed out on all that beard chat going on, guys.
I'm not sure that got in it. Hold on. Why isn't it?
Let me
Do
I'm
you see
gonna
it,
check
Cons?
it. No, I don't see it. I'm gonna check a different browser.
Okay. Let's see. Live streaming. Oh, it says we're live.
Now it
actually.
went live. It went live.
Yep, now we're in.
We're good now?
Yeah.
Wow, that took a full minute and 48 seconds. That's unusual. Maybe it's that London influence we got going on this week. But anyway, welcome everyone. This is a special edition of the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, a special interview edition that we've got for today. This is the 22nd, not the 21st, like I improperly labeled it, of May 2017, and we are joined by. Let me see if I can get this right. It's Bushido game, right? Bushido, black and white Bushido.
Black and white machine, that's the one.
And so, Good Catch Games, we have Ben Powell-Jones with us this afternoon and maybe evening, depending on where you're watching. So, welcome, Ben, the head of creative. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. We're excited to have you on and talk about this great game that just came out for Xbox and PlayStation, but it's been out for a while on Steam. So so some of us may have been playing for a year or so, and some of us may have just been playing for a week or so. So we'll get right into that. Also joining us this week, our normal panel members, we have ZBCI Assassin. What's going on, bud?
Hi.
And we've got Clowns with that fantastic day beard. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah. So Good Catch Games, Ben. Why don't you just open this up by telling us, what Good Catch Games is for those in the U.S. that probably have never heard of you guys before. No offense at all, but you guys are a fairly new studio, so just
See, don't worry.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So Good Catch Games are a new games company out of London, and we are basically focusing on mobile games and trying to move into console games too. So Black and White Bushido is our first console release. As you say, it soft launched on Steam around a year ago, and just last week was released on Xbox and PlayStation.
Excellent. So how did the launch go on Steam, and did the launch on Steam motivate you guys to get it on console, or was that the plan from the get-go?
So yeah, good question. We basically we launched on Steam, and what we wanted to see was what people's advice was for us regarding the game. We wanted to see what people were enjoying, what they wanted to do differently, and so it was kind of like a soft launch for us. We always wanted to take it to console, but we wanted to see what the reception would be like first. So if it completely sank and everyone said it sucked, then we probably wouldn't have bothered going to console. But there was enough people there that seemed to be positive about it, and it got a good response when we took it around conventions. There was enough people there that made it seem like it'd be a good venture. So that's kind of where we got to. The version that's on console now has, and the updated version on Steam now has extra levels, an animated intro, improved artwork, and online multiplayer, which almost killed us.
Almost killed you. That's interesting because we've had quite a few indie devs on the program to talk about their specific games, and one of the points of contention, one of the points that they make about how difficult it is to make your own game as an indie studio is the online multiplayer aspect. So maybe you can go into, I know you're the head of creative, so this isn't really too much of your realm, but if you can just go into a little bit how that was, like you said, how it killed you.
Well, what happened is we started off building the game as local only because we love party games and we wanted to, there's a team, there's myself, Howard and Sam and another guy called James. 4 of us all really love party games and we wanted to make the kind of game that we'd play in the office. But when we released it, what became apparent was that a lot of people have, friends like you guys are with each other where you're sort of separated by geography and you want to play together, but you can't necessarily go around to each other's houses. Mm-hmm. And also coupled to that, control pads are really expensive. They're like 50 quid. So a lot of people don't have 4 just on the off chance that 3 mates come round. So it was originally intended as a offline party game, but the overwhelming comment that we received was to make it online too. So we set out to do that. And that's kind of the first mistake, that we tried to add online into a game that had been primarily designed to be offline.
Right.
So that was the first thing. The second thing is we were launching on essentially 3 consoles at once, PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. And that presents its own complexities, and it also means you need to pass submission. Well, Steam's fine, but on PlayStation and Xbox at the same time. So you're sort of doing the work twice in 2 different directions at the same time. As I mentioned, the team wasn't huge on this game, so it's just really hard.
Yeah. Would you say it's easier to implement it for Steam than it is for consoles, or was it kind of like a similar experience?
Well, I can't code, so
right,
I can't necessarily speak to that, but I know that the guy who did do our coding, James, had done it for PC before. So that potentially made it easier, or it could be that it is just easier. Mm-hmm. But I know that it was certainly simpler to get it working for PC, yes, than it was for the consoles.
Gotcha.
But it's also, there's a flip side to that, which is that the consoles have pretty stringent quality control. So if you get something through on console, it's definitely going to work, whereas you probably could slide a semi-broken game through on PC.
Right, exactly. So, Clowns, I know you got a few questions about the creative side, and this is the man to ask, so I want to open it up to you, bud.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, it's not every day that somebody thinks of a game like this, especially with different types of ninjas or warriors, and you do have several different characters in there as well. What gave you guys the idea for something like this?
So we were basically, like I say, we're big fans of party games, and we used to play a lot in the office. We play Samurai Gun, Nidhogg, kind of like anything that we could all sit around and play on together. And it was our first console game, so we wanted to make a brawler, like an arena brawler. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel because, as I say, it was our first one. We weren't looking to do something too radical, but we thought what we could try and do was put a little bit of a twist on an already established genre. So what we were looking to do really is, oh, sorry, someone's just sending messages through and it's making an annoying noise.
No, it's all right, no problem, go ahead.
It's okay.
So what we did want to do is kind of put enough of a twist on it that it would bring something a little bit different. And basically what we noticed was that these games tend to be sort of full speed, very action-packed and dynamic, and we hadn't noticed a kind of a game like this with a stealth element or a slow element to it. So we thought we'd have a look at trying to implement that. With varying degrees of success, you can be the judge of that.
Well, one thing I found interesting, it's interesting you mentioned varying success, but the one of the things I kind of thought that would have been, I don't want to say better because, I do think the game is excellent. I think the idea is unique. But one of the things that I kind of expected going into the game was that the longer you were in the light or the darkness, the more invisible you become. But instead, it's correct me if I'm wrong, it's just the longer you're standing still, correct?
Yes. So basically, the faster you move, the more visible you are on both sides.
Right.
And the slower you move, the more invisible. If you stand completely still, then yes, you become invisible in your color. And there is a stealth button which you can hold down, and then that makes you creep in complete invisibility.
Right.
But it's an interesting point you bring up, because what you said is actually we did try that, because that was the first thing that occurred to us. But it's through various different sort of iterations and prototypes, what we came to was that we thought if somebody's moving slower, they're more likely to be wanting to be stealthy, and if someone's moving faster, it's more likely that they're just trying to like dash around and brawl and clash off each other. So that's why we sort of moved to the slow moving being invisible and the fast moving being the visible.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. Clowns, go ahead, bud. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say one of the questions in the chat from Sobsky117 was he was asking if there was anything that maybe influenced the art style in the game in particular, or the gameplay that helped influence the gameplay.
So there was loads of stuff we looked at. Actually, one of the guys, Sam, he brought in this episode of Samurai Jack. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's one.
Oh, yes,
absolutely.
So he actually fights a ninja in an episode, and we sort of like looked at how they'd used the contrast in that, and that was really, really helpful. And then we were wondering whether we should keep it completely black or white or add bits of color. So we were looking at stuff like Sin City. Which just does that, like because for a while we were thinking, should we just keep it really true to the black and white thing and everything's black and white, but then we thought actually it becomes a little bit tiring on the eye, as it is quite a flash of color every now and again, so we added that kind of red bit in there. But there was loads of influences. We're all big comic fans. There was loads of stuff that we were sort of looking at and trying to draw on other games like Spy versus Spy, that old one. It's kind of black and white spies, and lots of stuff really. I guess in the end, the Samurai Jack one is the one that people most compare us to.
Yeah, Sin City. And now that you say that, I see Sin City in this a lot. If the only thing that could have had more Sin City was if like there was blood, blood gushed out, that was more vibrant or something like that. But I think it has that Sin City vibe. Perfectly done. So I really think that it was a good decision actually to keep it, monochrome, if you will, because it's a simple looking game, so it's more approachable. Blacks hides in black, white hides in white, and that's a simple mechanic for anyone to get down, no matter the age level or gaming level or what have you. So I think keeping it monochrome actually lends to the simplicity of it and makes it more approachable, less to learn about the game before going in. Like Smash Brothers, for instance, is another brawler, of course. I'm sure you're familiar with it. But with Super Smash Brothers, there are leagues where people just know all these elaborate moves and rolls and dodges and blocks and all this stuff. And this game just is something you can pick up and go with and play at any level. You can give a pad or a controller, a pad as you guys would say, controller as we would. You give it to whoever, and they can pick that up and play. So is that kind of like what went into keeping it as monochrome, you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably part of it. Like you say, we wanted it to be quite simple in presentation, and also actually because we were going around different conventions, and we were noticing that so many games have so many brilliant, fantastic posters, but when they're all next to each other in a row, it's quite hard to jump out because it's just there's so much color and so many cool looking things. And we sort of thought if we had a big black and white poster, although it sounds a bit counterintuitive, it might actually be quite attention capturing. And I think it was actually at the conventions.
Yeah, interesting. Sasson, you got anything, bud?
Well, there was a question in the chat. Where was it? It was a little bit higher. Sobsky asked, what genre do you see yourself going into in the future?
One more time.
What genre do you see yourself, going into the future for making games?
Oh, I see. So basically, we love party games. I've said that a couple of times, but we need to see how they perform essentially, because we have been told by a couple of different places that it's not the wisest investment in terms of creating. just because a lot of people like to play solo, or they don't have the setup where they have 4 friends always ready to play, or they don't have people coming around. So I think what we'd really like to see is basically how this performs, because if people like it and it does well, then definitely we'd be interested in pursuing this direction. But likewise, we're making mobile games, and we've got a couple of other ideas for kind of more single-player, narrative-driven console games. So I think like there's a lot hinging on the next kind of probably 6 months to a year for us in terms of that. I'm asking myself the same question, so it's a good one.
Nice. Clowns, what do you got, bud?
When you say that you're gonna go more into mobile games in the future as well, like that's something that you guys want to do. Anything in particular on mobile games that you're looking at, like style of game?
Yeah, well, we got. I don't know if you guys know who KSI is. He's a YouTuber that's from London, and we made a KSI game last year. We're also looking at. There's an animation called Simon's Cat, which is a British animation series. We're looking at an endless runner for that. Mm-hmm. And we're sort of investigating a couple of other areas, but we're kind of we're looking at. To be honest with you, at the moment, it feels like what I feel quite lucky about is we can try a few different things, and we're allowed to be led by our passions. So I think that we're not nailing our colours to the mast as a studio just yet, which in some ways is a kind of a weakness because people are not exactly sure what it is that you make. But I think for us at the moment, it's really cool and exciting to be able to try a console party game, try an endless runner game, try a beat 'em up game. And if one of them takes off, then I imagine that's where we'll go, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I could see, like, in the future, if you guys had the time or the resources, I could see, like, maybe a Bushido, like story game. Like, you walk around, you meet different characters, and kind of like a mini quick RPG, but in the same style that you did this game in. I could see something like that for this.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main criticisms we've had in the reviews. People bring up the sort of like it's a slightly shallow game in the sense the core of it is playing with friends, and beyond that there's not too much. There's a challenge mode for single player, but a lot of people have said it would be nice to have a narrative driven thing, and I think it's a good point. I also agree that playing a game like that as a single player with a narrative driven thing could be really cool. So yeah, we love that idea too.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it as like, like the old which I can't remember. I think it was Zelda Link 2 on the NES, where it was more like a 2D where you walk around different towns. So yeah. I could definitely see that, man. I think the style is awesome. The artwork's amazing.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thanks very much. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a little, if you leave it idling on the menu screen, there's a little intro animation that sort of slightly explains the characters and who their motivations are. And we thought something in that kind of style could be really fun.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. Wow, I'm going to have to try that out just to check it out. We got a question in the YouTube chat from Tom, the Xbox Pope, he goes by. He wants to know, would we see Bushido on the Switch? It would be good with multiplayer, handheld, etc.
Yes, we are very excited about that possibility.
I asked you before this stream if there was anything we couldn't ask. This was the question. If you couldn't answer it.
Okay, so basically, this is where we are. We're perfect fit too, and we think it would be absolutely great. And we want to make it happen. At the moment, we're basically investigating it. So I don't want to say yes, it's happening because it still very much might not. But completely agree. We think that it would be a very good natural fit.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. It would possibly be a fit. Is the take home question, Tom? Take home answer rather.
And I'll shout out to Tom, the Xbox Pope, as well, by the way, because he's awesome.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He does a lot of great stuff for the community, a lot of great artwork, and yeah, I mean, if people aren't following him, you definitely should. Awesome guy.
He says that you guys know him as Geordie Tommy.
Yeah, well, he's actually from not too far away from where I grew up in England, in Newcastle. And sorry, that makes absolutely zero sense without any. Sorry, so people from Newcastle are called Geordie.
Okay, that
Geordie.
makes sense.
It's from Geordie, yeah, from Geordie land.
Gotcha. Couple more questions about the game before we wrap it up here. So people look at this and they kind of think it's just deathmatch, right? And we talked a little bit about how there are multiple modes. So what kind of inspired you guys to do stuff like, capture the flag and to do that challenge mode? Why was that the progression from deathmatch? I know there are games where people will throw in like completely unrelated things like, soccer, for instance. We have to like hit things in a goal, or, capture the flag is where some people go, but not many. So what made you guys go with capture the flag in like a challenge mode, like you said?
So what we want to do with the game, and again, you can judge whether we succeeded or not, but we wanted to do a couple of things. And one of those was that add subtle layers of complexity. So when you first play the game, the only thing you first need to play it is 3 buttons: jump, attack, and use items. And you don't actually need to use items, so jump and attack. It's super simple to start playing. But also we wanted to add an extra level to it. So actually you can use 2 buttons when you first start off, but actually you can use all 8 buttons on the controller. Like you can use the 2 triggers, the 2 bumpers, and all 4 buttons on the front of the pad. And the way they come in is through sort of like the gameplay developing individual styles. So if you want to be somebody who's sneaky and moves around slowly and hides from people, you are going to have to use a lot more buttons, and it takes a little bit more skill to get used to than someone who just dashes around attacking everyone they see. And what we wanted to do with the game mode is, again, we would have liked to have added more, is the honest truth, but there's always a limit of time and how long you've got and how much money you've got. Sure. And what we wanted to do was add one that gives the most variety in gameplay. And with Capture the Flag, what it does is that random flags appear around the map. You have to stand on them, and you don't just cap them by standing on them. You have to hold down the button, fills up with your colour, and then more of the screen turns to your colour. And if you turn the whole screen your team's colour, that's how you win. But if you double cap, it goes double speed. So that brings a kind of like interesting tactic, which is that you can plan to, as a team, double cap and just run around together. But when you do that, you're completely vulnerable. You can't attack, you can't throw items, nothing. So when doing that, you've got 2 people trying to kill you. So the other option is that one of you is capturing and the other guy is standing out the front trying to like defend against people diving down from the air, teleporting in, diving side to side. So what we wanted to kind of give was what we felt the mode was that offered the most difference to deathmatch, while still being fairly common and accessible, so people wouldn't have to think too hard about what it actually was.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then with the challenge mode, that is actually kind of in a weird way, because our tutorial in game is basically one 5-second sheet which shows all the controls while it leads.
Right.
But, so we didn't really want to go too deep into a tutorial and press this. So the challenge mode, the single player, is more of the tutorial. It's basically what it does is it serves you challenges that you have to complete to unlock achievements and things like that. And when you do them, you're actually getting better at the game, so that when you go back into the main core of the game, which is the deathmatch or the multiplayer, you are an improved player.
Gotcha. That makes sense. It makes sense, and I think the challenge mode is definitely a good warm up for facing real opponents, because as much as people want to say AI is becoming more like real people, you see stuff like drive avatars on Xbox games like Forza. It's not the same. It's just not the same.
Never. And it's I don't play party games on my own with free AI, and I wouldn't expect someone to have the best time with this. It's definitely like that. It's definitely designed as something to play with people that you're going to enjoy having a few beers with, shouting each other over the mics. That's how it's kind of like set up to be.
Right. Yeah, definitely. A couple more questions from the YouTube chat. I'll get to Frodo's first, since he says it is a legit question. He has posed it to you guys before. He wants to know, when will Good Catch 1v1 me on Bushido? He says he asked you guys on the TA stream, and he's also asked D. So
okay, D's just started laughing in the corner of the room now. D, when are we going to do that? Okay, D says soon, and we'll think of a good prize if he wins.
All right. All right. And another question, Tom asks, are you guys going to go to any more events like Gamescom or E3 or any local events, EGX, what have you?
Hope so, because we've taken it around a lot over the last couple of years. We've been in Gamescom, we've been in EGX, we've been to several places around the UK and Europe as well. And the thing that was always very frustrating was because we were struggling a bit with the online multiplayer. The thing would be it's a great game for conventions. People like gathering around, playing with four of them at once. And people would always say, "Oh, when can I get this?" And we'd be like, "Hopefully in a few months." And then people will go and buy something that's available now, because why wouldn't? So it does make sense that now we can take it around and say, if people say, "When can I get this?" Now. It's just time. We've got to give this enough support to keep it going, try and foster the community, while at the same time moving on to the next project. So, but yes, we're hoping to is the short answer.
Awesome. Clowns or Assassin, anything else?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Assassin.
Go ahead, Assassin.
No, go ahead, Clowns. It's good for the end. The question's good for the end.
Okay.
So polite. You guys are so polite.
I was going to ask or just make an observation. When I was playing with Assassin, one thing that I thought was really creative about the game is I was the shadow, he was the light. And he just sat there and hid in the light section, and I couldn't see him. And anytime I tried to go look for him and jump over him or just find him in the light section, he just slaughtered me and 3 of my bots repeatedly. He just sat there, and he won the whole thing just by sitting there.
Well, you should wait. Was that in Deathmatch?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so in Deathmatch, the lighting changes dynamically at random intervals. So if you play him at his own game and wait for long enough, it'll eventually expose him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in Capture the Flag, you alter the light yourself by capturing them. You can't just hide, because then you'll capture all the flags and they'll lose anyway.
All right, I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, so just wait it out, Clowns. Wait it out until the light reveals him or the darkness reveals him, and then go get his ass.
Yeah.
Okay, Assassin, what do you got, bud?
I mean, you kind of sort of answered this, but you got any tips or tricks for noobs like Clowns or anyone else that's having a difficult time?
Yeah, sure. A couple of things. One is the screen wraps, which people always forget. So in Capture the Flag, if you've got to move around the level quickly, remember you can jump out the right and come back in on the left. You don't need to crow all the way back across to the other side. Oh, okay. Second thing is the second thing is use the items. The items are super important. So in Capture the Flag, you've got to jump up to get it. If you drop the caltrops and they stand on it, they can't jump for 5 seconds. So essentially, they can't get up to use items in every form of the game. And the third thing is something I was trying to remember. What was I about to say? There's a third thing that I feel like is important. Move around the level by dashing. So you can dash sideways to attack, but you can also dash attack up, down, left, or right. So if you double jump up and then dash upwards or diagonally upwards, you can get to anywhere in the level. So if you've got somewhere you're trying to get quick, just dash there.
There you go. Clowns, I guess that's what you're going to need to defeat Assassin next time you guys play against each other.
Yep.
I think I'm going to do that thing where I wait it out.
Yeah.
For the light. Because he's going to have to dash around then, and then I can get him.
Or if you wait and your bots go charging in, if you're playing with AI, if he swings at them, you're going to see him move in the shadow anyway, so then you can know where he is.
There you go.
Unless he's placed a teleporter, because then he can teleport somewhere else and be invisible again. But that's the game.
Jeez,
I did not know that.
These are pro tips. I was thinking, it's more simple than it is. These are pro strats right here. All right, well, Ben, I think that's about it. It's been like 25-ish minutes, and I've got nothing else. So the game is $12.99 available now. $12.99 US. I don't know what it is in European prices or UK prices, but $12.99 US right now for the consoles and for Steam. So the Steam just got that update. So now it's the full-fledged game with the multiplayer and the new levels and such. So Go grab it on one of those 3 platforms, or all if you're someone like Frodo apparently who has it on all platforms. So yeah, Ben, we really appreciate your time today, and why don't you go ahead and shout out where we can find you, or Good Catch, or anything you want to shout out.
Great. So first of all, thanks so much for having me, guys. It's been really fun, really nice to talk to you all. I got to up my beard game. That's very apparent after seeing. Buddy. Yeah. And so you can find the game at Bushido Game on Twitter. We're at Good Catch Games on Twitter. And if you've got any questions about it, or you want to take us on like Frodo wants to, then just drop us a line and Dee will handle all of it. But we're looking forward to hear from you. Really hope anyone that plays it enjoys it. And if you have any problems or questions, or you want to say anything, just give us a shout. We're not that big, and we can usually get back to people.
Awesome, yeah. And if you are watching this not live and you have any questions to add, we could definitely relay them over to the guys at Good Catch, and gals, I should say. So definitely leave a comment below if you're watching it in the archived version, or hit us up on Twitter, any of us individually, or at 4 Guys of Quarters. And if you have a question about the game and you want us to relay it, we will definitely do so. All right, so that does it for us. Thank you for checking in on this afternoon version. Ben, thanks again. Dee, thanks for helping set this up, if you can hear us.
Welcome.
And we'll see all you guys later. Peace out.
Cheers, guys.